Welcome to IAS Net Study, and I'm starting a new series. We have finished the content, the static part of your ethics GS4. I've almost covered all the topics that are mentioned in your syllabus with respect to UPSC GS4. Now, there is a static part. That part has been covered. Now there is a dynamic part. Dynamic part, it means that, see, when you write answers in your examination, you have to give examples to substantiate whatever your point of view. You have to substantiate that. In order to substantiate, you have to give the examples. Usually what happens, if you look at the, even I do evaluate papers, mock test papers, one thing I've seen is that, the if you look at the dynamic part, that is example part, most of the examples revolves around Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, Swami Vivekananda, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. See, it revolves around some of the standard personalities, and just by looking at going through the answers, you will get to know that it is a textbook copy paste answer. See, in the UPSC examination, the more you use your individuality, that is going to get you more marks. And how do you enhance that? How do you utilize that in the GS paper 4? By inculcating current affairs topics or current affairs issues into the GS4. It clearly gives a perception to a examiner that this person knows the concept, and connecting with the current affairs, connecting static part with the dynamic part, it is going to enhance your content and you are going to get a very good marks. So here, whatever I am giving you, it is going to be a value addition to your GS preparation, right? So let's start the discussion. Every week there will be one video. Before the examination, you will be having hundreds of examples for your ethics, and make a list of it and use it very intelligently where it has to be used. So that presence of mind should be there to utilize these content in your examination, right? So let's get into the discussion of current affairs from ethics perspective. And the first, and this video is from 21st February to 28th February, and most of the current affairs news, it is taken from Hindu predominantly and Indian Express also. So the first news is with respect to SIR, special intensive revision. It is with respect to updation of the electoral rules. Now the thing is, Supreme Court has given a order where it has told that judicial officers, usually judges, they are going to join the SIR process. SIR process, it is dealt by Election Commission of India. Now the tussle is going on. One side it is Election Commission of India, another side it is the state government. So the tussle is going between these two. Election Commission of India, it is saying that we don't trust the TMC government. They are interfering in the SIR process and manipulations are happening. And state government, it is accusing Election Commission of India. It is telling that Election Commission has been influenced by central government and it is just following the orders of central government, and it is manipulating the voters detail of West Bengal. So one side state government is accusing, another side Election Commission is accusing. Now the case went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court judges, they heard both the sides and they've taken a decision that they also found out that the state government is interfering in the administrative decisions with respect to electoral reforms. Now they have enough proof. Now they have taken decision that judicial officers are going to join the SIR process and they are also going to involve in that. This is the news. Now how do you have to see this, and from where exactly you can use this information? See, the first thing is that with respect to, now Supreme Court is entering into it because there is a trust deficit between central government and the state government. Because of the trust deficit, now the third party is entering. Who is the third party here? It is the judiciary here. Now, even in the case studies, these kind of case studies we see, there will be two parties and you just want to sort out the difference between two parties. Now what are the steps you take in those kind of situations? These kind of, whatever we are going to discuss, it is going to come in handy. This is one thing. And the second thing is, you have in your syllabus, you have a code of conduct, you have a code of ethics. I think in the 6th unit we have this topic, code of conduct and code of ethics. Now whatever the article is talking about involvement of Supreme Court, here Supreme Court judiciary is giving directions to the state government. It is also aligning with ECA. So here it is giving direction, it is setting rules, what to do and what not to do. So somewhere it is related to code of conduct. So even in the examples with respect to code of conduct, there also you can mention this particular initiation by Supreme Court, right? Also, ultimately the entire aspect is that tussle between state government and election commission. Now judiciary has entered. What exactly here judiciary want to achieve? Ethical governance. Even for the ethical governance, you can quote this example. Right, now let's see the ethical dimensions here. See, the entire controversy of this is SIR between the central government and the state government, or election commission and the state government. See, it talks about one aspect, that is risk of impropriety. What exactly the risk of impropriety? So see, the reason I'm using these kind of terminology is that use it in your case studies, use it in your answers, so it is going to enhance the quality of your answer. The risk of impropriety is that, I'll give you an examples. I am an officer and I have got the file. See, I am supposed to finish that within 2 days, but 7 days, it's been 7 days, I could not able to finish it. But the intention is that it is not intentionally I am delaying the uh, anything related to the file. It is because I have so much of work. Because of that, I could not able to clear the file. Now I took 7 days to clear the file. Now it looks like people think that I am intentionally doing it. See, I'm not intentionally doing it, but for people it looks like I am intentionally doing it. So this is the risk of impropriety here. Election commission, state government is telling that election commission is manipulating. Election commission is telling that TMC, the Bengal government, is manipulating. So both the sides are finger pointing the finger at each other. So there is a risk of impropriety. So you can use the same thing, the same concept in the case studies also. Now, because of that, judges entered, and judges, they are considered as a political entity, they are considered as impartial, they are considered as unbiased. So now, whatever the decision they take, these decisions will be based on evidence, these decisions will be based on the legal merit. It is purely based on objectivity, it is not subjectivity. So when they take decisions based on evidence and merit, this is going to ensure transparency, this is going to ensure accountability. So accountability and transparency ensure the public trust. The core, what is the base concept here? There is a trust deficit, and involvement of a individual independent third party, impartial third party, ensure this public trust again in that process. So ultimately, on the whole, this is going to ensure ethical framework for election. Ethical framework for election, it is very much important, very much necessary to uphold the democrat constitutional ethos and the democracy in our country. So there are some trust factor, trust deficit is there, and there is a risk of impropriety is there. How do you deal with that? You need an impartial person there. Who is the impartial person? It is the judiciary. When judiciary comes, there will be transparency, there will be accountability, because every decision will be taken on the merits, legal merits and the evidence. And this ensures public trust. This ensures ethical framework of elections. Ethical framework of elections ensure very positive democratic ethos at the ground level. So these are some of the ethical issues of SIR. Right, this is SIR, where exactly you can give this an example. Ethical governance, you can give examples for the code of conduct, and yeah, code of conduct and ethical governance. Let's move to the next topic. The next topic, the next article is with respect to Gen Z. See, this article talks about Gen Z and the protest. The Gen Z protest, we saw it in Nepal, we saw it in Bangladesh, we saw it in Sri Lanka, and even in around the world, we are seeing the Gen Z protest. Now, this article talks about the dynamics of the protest. It has been changed by this Gen Z, the protest that is going on, and they are changing the aspect of democracy. And the people usually Gen Zs, they are from born between 1997 to 2012. Usually they are considered very young, and they're considered immature, but the changes they are bringing at the ground level, it is something very surprising. Actually, this is what the article is talking about. So this article is talking about the Gen Z, the protest by Gen Z, and how exactly this is impacting the democracy. Right. So this is the article. Now let us see it from an ethical perspective. Where exactly you can use it as a example here for Gen Z protest. In the third unit, we have aptitude and foundational values, and in the foundational values, we have topics like moral courage, moral courage, and fearlessness, fortitude. Here you can use Gen Z protest as an example, right? This is one thing. And the next is that, let's see the features and let's see what are the ethical dilemmas also. It does not mean that Gen Z protest, it is democratic. Article talks about strengthening of democracy, but there are some ethical dilemmas also. You need to understand ethical dilemmas also. And let's see the features of Gen Z protest. The important aspect is that, where do we see this Gen Z protest usually? Whenever there is a corruption, whenever there is nepotism, favoritism, cronyism, when there are inequalities, we see the Gen Z protest. This is the one of the features. And most of these Gen Z protests, it is leaderless actually. If you look at the other political protests, there will be, it will be ideological based and there will be a leader or leaders. They are going to drive the protest. But here Gen Z protest, they are the leaderless protest. And most of these people, it is a digital mobilization. It is not that one leader is giving a call and all the followers are coming. It is not that. It is a digital mobilization, and it is something unique from the rest of the agitations we have seen. And uh, and it highlights the, one side there is a dissent. People are not happy what exactly is happening at the ground level. At the same time, you need the stability. And this Gen Z protest, it highlights this tension between dissent and the stability. And another aspect is that, see, somebody is giving a call for a protest in internet, does not mean that if I give a call in a protest, see, I have to have some level of persuasive tendency in the way I talk. I should convince you to join the protest here. So it means that I need to have emotional intelligence. If I am emotionally intelligent, then I can connect with you. I can convince you to join the protest. So it shows that there is a emotional intelligence. That emotional intelligence is utilizing the social media for mobilization. So here you have to utilize this energy in a positive way. And is it happening? Yes, it is happening. So it shows that there is a resilience, there is an adaptability, and there is a collective empathy. If there are inequalities, even Gen Z protest, it is showing the collective empathy. Ultimately, they are talking about emotional intelligence. Gen Z protest, it has emotional intelligence. It is leaderless, digital mobilization, and it want to create some kind of balance. And it also, there is a factor of emotional intelligence also. Now let's see from a UPSC perspective also. Now, whoever they are preparing for UPSC, they belong to this Gen Z category only. And if they enter the UPSC, again we can see some kind of positive change in the UP bureaucracy also. There will be, because they have seen this digital, they've dealt with this digital ethics. These digital ethics, it means that transparency, accountability, these things can be ensured in the civil services also. These things are ensured in the public services also. And if there are any intolerance, that can be questioned by Gen Z's, and that can be, it will lead to the reformations in the bureaucracy. So these are some of the features of Gen Z protest, right? Now let's see the ethical dilemmas. What are the ethical dilemmas are there in the Gen Z protest? The first thing is right to dilemmas. It means that there are two values in front of each other, and you have to make a decision. It is very difficult to make a decision because both these values, they have that moral framework behind it. Whatever there are option A and B, whatever the option you choose, ultimately you're going to compromise some of the values. So that they are called ethical dilemmas here. See, one side there is a right to protest. Gen Z, they're not happy with the situation, they want to protest. Another side, they talk about social responsibility. There is a social factor of social responsibility also. You are aware of this Bangladesh protest, Nepal protest, where it has turned into violent factor. Violence entered into the entire protest, and people have lost their lives also. So one side, I want to protest, Gen Z want to protest. Another side, there is a responsibility also. They should not take consider the situation taken for granted. If they are going for a protest, it is their responsibility to ensure the safety and security of the people who are coming into the protest. So one side right to protest, another side social responsibility. How do you handle the social responsibility? Do you have any means to ensure social responsibility? See, this is the one thing. If you compromise with social responsibility, you question the right to protest. If you compromise with right to protest, you have to ensure social responsibility. So this is first dilemma. Second, the dilemma is the digital ethics. Digital ethics is that, I know, I've told you that one of the features is that digital mobilization. If you are feeding positive content, outcome you can expect the positive thing, positive information, positive data you're giving. People are learning from it, Gen Z's are learning from it, and outcome will be positive. But what if the situation is, if there are some manipulations happen, if you're giving wrong information, and in these kind of situation outcome will be negative. So negative input leads to negative outcome. Now, how do you ensure that Gen Zs are fed with positive information? There is no manipulation happens. Again, there is no methodology to ensure digital ethics. That is another ethical dilemma here. And then youth as a change. We have seen Gen Zs, they've a lot of protests we have seen, and they've changed the governments, all these things. But when you think from an Indian perspective, there are two aspects we can see. There is a concept of learned helplessness in the Indian Gen Z, and there is a concept of pragmatic survivalism. I'll tell you what exactly these two terminologies are. Learned helplessness is a concept where I feel that whatever I do, it is not going to change. Even if I go to protest, it is not going to change. So why waste time? This is learned helplessness. I know that there is an inequality. I want to change that, but somewhere I feel helpless. I think that whatever I do, it is not going to change. So this is learned helplessness. This attitude is seen in the Indian Gen Zs. At the same time, pragmatic survivalism. Pragmatic survival. What is that pragmatic survival? Is that first I want to get a job, I want to settle in my life. Once I am economically, socially stable, then I can involve in these kind of protests. See, this mentality also, it's kind of seen in Indian Gen Zs. That is the reason we are not seeing very strong Gen Z movements in India. See, this is what the article is talking about. I'm not putting my point of view here. I'm giving some fodder material here so you can use it in the examination. So another dilemmas or the ethical factor we see in the Gen Z protest is that learned helplessness or a pragmatic survivalism, that is also there. This has become another ethical issues in the Gen Z protest. Right, these are some of the ethical dilemmas. So ethical Gen Z understand the features of Gen Z protest, and what are the ethical dilemmas, you understand that. And examples you can give it for fearlessness, fortitude, courage, moral courage in these kind of if any questions related to these values or attributes, you can give an example of Gen Z protest. Right, let's move to the next one. The next article talks about Manipur issue. Manipur, you know that there we have a Kuki and Métis. The ethnic, the struggle or the violence in the Manipur, you are aware of it. Almost from 2 3 years it is in news, and even before that also 10 20 years ago it was there, and even before 30 years before that there was a kind of violence, it was there. So it has created a cycle of violence. Now this is the article here, it is talking about it wants the healing touch rather than a cycle of violence. This is what article is talking about. But here you have to see it from a case study perspective. Case studies is also, I'll tell you what kind of case studies you can relate with Manipur incident. There will be like two groups, A and B, and you are a district magistrate, and they are fighting with each other. And now how do you pacify the situation? If you give support to the A, B will be furious and they start some kind of riots, and it is going to disturb the peace. If you support B, they are going to be furious, and if people belong to the A category, they are going to cause some kind of trouble at the social level. See, whatever you do, it is going to create social disturbance. Now, how do you take a decision? These kind of case studies you do get in the examination. So, in order to deal with that, these kind of news, if you relate it to the case studies and if you answer it from that perspective, it will be easier. So here, imagine that you are a district magistrate and you have two options here. Rather than two options, there is a situation where there are two groups and there is a hatred between the two groups, and how do you pacify the situation, and what are the options you have in front. These kind of case studies you will see. Let's see the ethical issues first. What are the ethical issues? The cycle has been created. How exactly cycle has been created? It has created due to the failure from administration, failure from politics, failure from the civil society itself. It is a failure in timely intervention. If the first time, if there is a timely intervention, if there are course correction, we have not seen this level of violence. See, there is a failure in timely intervention and inadequate humanitarian aid. It has created that cycle of violence, and also divisive policies by administration, divisive policies by even legislature, that also created the cycle of violence, and it has led to the accountability. It has questioned the accountability factor. Now, how do you deal with that? See, the cycle of violence, it underscores, it says that we need ethical duty of politicians, ethical duty of our administrators, ethical duty of the civil society. So at ground level, there is a tussle between cookie and metis. Now, how do you handle this? Make the situation apolitical. Now you have to take care all the citizens, you have to consider everybody equal, and there should not be anything beyond this ethical and legal perspective. Whatever you do, that has to be come under this ethical perspective, that has to be come under the legal framework. So it has to be apolitical, and whatever you do, make sure that you protect all citizens equally. There should not be any bias. This is one thing. And here the cycle has been created due to the deep mistrust. It is not one time event, it is repeating again. Why is it repeating altogether again? Because of there is lack of trust. Why there is a lack of trust? Because there is no timely intervention here, and you need to focus on eliminating this mistrust, eliminating this the trauma that has created before. So deep mistrust and trauma, it demand high emotional intelligence. So how do you remove this mistrust? How do you remove this kind of trauma? The officers, administrators, politicians, they have to have this emotional intelligence. From the leaders, from the social society, society, civil services, everybody should ensure that emotional intelligence. When you have this emotional intelligence, there will be a factor of self-awareness, there will be a factor of empathy, there will be a factor of social skills. When your social skills are good, you can de-escalate any kind of situation. So this ensures breaking of the cycle of violence. And in case studies also, you can give these are some of the suggestive measures. For your conclusion, you can write it down. And also talk about compassionate governance. We have talked about ethical governance, we know about good governance. Now we are going one step ahead. Now we are talking about compassionate governance. Now we need, in these kind of cycle of violence, we need compassionate governance. And for the case studies, write these things as the your suggestion, like demand compassionate governance or emotional intelligence. And these kind of things are very much necessary to eliminate mistrust in between two groups. So use these as a fodder material for these kind of case studies, right? This is with respect to Manipur topic, cycle of violence. And how do you break that? There's one more slide. You can break it by ethical renewal. How do you do the ethical renewal? See, usually we focus on retributive justice. Retributive justice is that uh, you have you have troubled someone, or a thief has taken money from somebody. Now you have committed a crime. Now you are entitled to face the consequences. Now 1 year jail term, that is the retributive justice. And restorative justice is that you want to correct that justice. Something has gone wrong, some crime has been connected, uh, has been committed. Now you have to correct the things. How do you correct the things? Whatever the thief has taken money, you have to give back that money. One thing, you ensure the security to the person's victim, and another thing, that even give the chance to the person who has committed the crime also. So that is the restorative justice. You focus on restorative justice rather than retributive justice. See, here what happens, in case studies there will be two groups, A and B groups. It is not about individual person. So when the groups are involved, focus on restorative justice rather than retributive justice. So this you can use it as one of the points to break these kind of tensions, tussles, cycle of violence. That is one thing. And focus on compassionate governance, inclusive governance, and along with that, empathy. This is also inclusive governance, ethical governance also helps to break this silence. And also strengthen the institution. Why do we need to strengthen the institution? Because when the institutions are strengthened with ethical values, there will be factor of impartiality. When there is impartiality, there will be trust from the people. So strengthening institution with ethical values, it has been missed here, with ethical values. And from a civil service perspective, Civil servants are considered as a change agents. Now you are in this situation. In the case study, you are here, you have to take care of the situation. Now you have to promote the tolerance, you have to bridge the differences. There is a difference between A and B, there is kind of enmity between A and B. Now it is your responsibility to bridge the gap. You should not uh, create the problem, make the problem bigger and bigger. No, that is wrong. What you have to do is you have to eliminate the differences, you have to bridge the divisions. So that is your responsibility. Promote the tolerance, bridge the divisions, and also uphold the constitutional values. These are the ways you can break the cycle of violence. So this is with respect to Manipur. And here, see this entire article from a case study perspective. So first, SIR, you can give it as a give example for code of conduct, you can give example for ethical governance, and then we talked about Gen Z. For foundational values, there you can write that as an example: fearlessness, courage, moral courage, fortitude. And Manipur, see this particular article from a case study perspective, right? The next news article, let's see this news article from an international ethics. International ethics, it is also one of the topics in your syllabus. Here the news is talking about Modi holds talk with UN chief and world leaders. Actually, it is talking about one particular initiative. I think its name is that Mahasagar. Mahasagar is the initiative. Indian government has taken this Mahasagar initiative. So this entire article is talking about Mahasagar initiative. See, this Mahasagar initiative, you can give examples for international ethics. It Mahasagar, this initiative talks about ethical diplomacy. Ethical diplomacy is the need of the hour. There are a lot of international the geopolitics issues between Russia and Ukraine, issue between India Pakistan, issue between Pakistan Afghanistan, issues between Southeast Asian countries and the China. A lot of issues, Iran and Israel. A lot of issues are going on. The if you look at from a geopolitical perspective. Now, Mahasagar initiative by India, it talks about ethical diplomacy. How exactly it is talking about ethical diplomacy? It is talking about mutual benefit. See, usually if you look at there is a concept of gain for one nation is will be a pain for another nation. See, diplomacy should not be, our international relationships, international ethics should not be based on this idea. My gain should not be your pain. That should not be there. This was the idea during colonization, during East India Company, all these things. At this point of time, this should not be the thing. So Indian initiative, it is talking about mutual benefit. It is talking about transparency. It is talking about no debt trap models. What China is doing is a debt trap model. There's no debt trap models. Whatever India is advocating, India is upholding ethical diplomacy. So international ethics should be based on ethical diplomacy. Most of the not most, few of the countries, they are practicing these exploitative policies, but practices and policies. But if you look at the India, it is supporting, it is upholding the ethical diplomacy. And this Mahasagar initiative, or you can write these points in the international ethics. How should be international, what should be the what should be the protocol, or what are the points should be taken into the consideration with respect to international ethics. And here international ethics should be based on partnership, respect sovereignty, and avoid coercion. There should not be any forceful involvement with other countries. Everything should be voluntary, and there will be win-win situation. And see, India's approach here, it acts unbiased. Actually, it remains non-partisan. There is a great power rivalry that is going on, but still, see, India is involved with China also. India is involved with Russia. India is involved with European Union. India is involved with America also. Here, what exactly it is talking about? It is talking about non-partisanship, unbiased impartiality in the international context. This is what India is talking about. It will lead to the inclusive cooperation without any coercion, without any forceful alignment. And this is ensuring ethical internationalism. So we are talking about ethical diplomacy, and Indian method of diplomacy, it is ensuring ethical internationalism, where power serves humanity, fostering trust, equality, and shared prosperity. And this is going to help to build the word order. and prevent alienation, promoting inclusive global governance. These are the points you can use it in an international ethics. And this initiative of Mahasagar by India, and you can quote this as an example. What exactly it is going to do? These are the points. You can write these points for international ethics also. You can talk about ethical diplomacy, and you can talk about ethical internationalism, right? And the next topic is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, it's continuously in use. And here what this article, it's an interview of Bhutan Prime Minister, and here he is talking about artificial intelligence, and this artificial intelligence should be a tool for a human development. So he is talking, even though it is not the direct ethical concern or ethical consideration for AI, but you can derive these things. You can get that inference by reading this article. What I'll do is, since a lot of articles are coming with respect to AI, and even I am expecting there will be one question related to either directly or indirectly. AI related questions will be there, even in the ethics and even essays. You might expect artificial intelligence and the ethical dimension. So I'll go through with the aspects, what are the ethical challenges and way forward with respect to artificial intelligence. So in this topic, here the Bhutan Prime Minister, he has talked about ethical use of artificial intelligence. It means that whatever the development that is happening in the technology, you have to keep human as the center. So development should be human centric. How do you make this human centric? By supporting the transparency. When you support the transparency, you know what is happening, you know what exactly this technology is based on. So you need to have a proper regulation to ensure transparency. And when there is a transparency aspect, it will ensure human centric development. And if it goes to a wrong hand, then it can be misused, and a biased social setup can be created with the help of, if it goes to the wrong hand. So this is what he has talked about, and here it has been mentioned regarding Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also. And he has also given a statement. This statement is that Prime Minister Modi has talked about ethics in artificial intelligence. He told that we need ethics, we need values, we need regulation, we need oversight, we need transparency. Cumulatively, he said that we want a glass box, not black box. Glass box, it talks about transparency. So even Indian Prime Minister is also emphasizing transparency in artificial intelligence. Bhutan Prime Minister is also talking about transparency. Indian Prime Minister is also talking about transparency. We want a glass box, not the black box. Black box, it means that you cannot see anything what is happening inside. So glass box talks. It is symbolic mentioning of a transparency. When there is a transparency, the technology become human centric. So that is the intention. Now let's see the ethical challenges in the artificial intelligence. I'm going to take very few points here. So ethical challenges, regulating deep fakes. A lot of AI generated content you are seeing in the social media, these are also called the synthetic content. See, regulating this synthetic content, inorganic content, or the deep fakes, that has become a very big challenge. One side there is a freedom of expression, another side it has some kind of regulation. So how do you balance this? This is ethical challenge. And if you use this artificial intelligence in administration, in public administration, if something goes wrong, now who is accountable for the situation? Is it a developer, or is it a government which has sourced this to the administration, or is it the district collector who is enforcing this? Who is responsible here? That is also a factor here. Is it a developer, is it a deployer, or is it a civil servant? That is again a challenge, ethical challenge here. And most of these algorithms, the concept of black box algorithm, the same thing, there is no transparency here. See, when there is no transparency, this is going to violate the probity. This has become another ethical challenge here. And algorithm bias are very much necessary, very much evident actually. See, uh, you must have seen that for particular religion, if you give some kind of prompt, this artificial intelligence was not giving or developing any answer, but for some other religion it was giving the some funny content or something like that. So kind of people were pointing out there is kind of biasness is there. So if there is an algorithm bias, or some kind of trained in a way to create these kind of biasness, then this is going to undermine the impartiality. This is going to undermine, again, if there is no impartiality, again, it is going to impact the transparency. When it is impacted the transparency, it is going to impact the human centric artificial intelligence. And AI, another challenge is that there is no moral judgment, there is no empathy. Everything is objective in nature. There is no subjective analysis, or there is a risk of dehumanizing decisions. Everything is machine based, everything is evidence based or the objective based here. So there is no moral judgment, and there is no humanizing the decisions. That is also another ethical challenge. See, different situation need different types of, different way of analyzing things and different way of getting into the conclusion. This is lack, this is not seen in artificial intelligence, and this is another ethical challenge. And see, artificial intelligence, it can also exacerbate inequalities. It is going to increase the inequality, both economic inequality and social inequality. How exactly economic inequality is that because of AI, the job losses we have seen in the news, we have seen in the social media. So it is creating the job loss, especially in the low skill sector. So it is creating economic inequality. At the same time, the social inequality is that uh, if there is a digital illiteracy is there, digital illiteracy is going to going to create more digital divide, and this is going to make sure that accessibility to artificial intelligence and the benefits of artificial intelligence, uh, see, if I am digitally illiterate, there will be a digital divide, and this digital illiteracy, digital divide does not let me to get the benefits of artificial intelligence, and this create the social inequalities. So artificial intelligence, it is one among the reasons, if it is not handled properly, it is going to create economic inequality, it is going to create social inequality. So these are ethical challenges of artificial intelligence. Then way forward, how do you handle it? Again, way forward here also, way forward also, I'm talking from ethical perspective only. We have a IT rules of 2026, and IT rules of 2026 make sure that whatever, if the content has been generated by artificial intelligence, it has to be labeled properly, so that people will get that correct information. So it ensures that accountable factor is there. And another aspect is that UNESCO recommendation, it has given some recommendation with respect to how to be ethical in artificial intelligence, how to ensure ethical values, moral values in artificial intelligence. Adopt these UNESCO's recommendation for development of artificial intelligence. This is another way forward. And Indian AI governance, it has given guidelines. The seven sutras have been given. So make sure artificial intelligence safe, trusted, and inclusive. And this India's AI governance guidelines is focused on ethical innovation, and where there is a concept of responsible artificial intelligence, and this responsible artificial intelligence with core values, for foundational values, to ensure human oversight, bias mitigation, and to make sure that there is an inclusive deployment. These are some of the way forward for artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, since this is one among the very important topics of GS4, I've given the detailed explanation. What exactly, initially we talked about what exactly it has been mentioned in the article. Then we talked about what are the ethical challenges, general ethical challenges of artificial intelligence, and I've given the way forward also. Use this way forward in an intelligent manner for your answers. Next, let's move to the next news article. The next news article is Model Code of Conduct. The news article is that FIR against Jharkhand leader of opposition for violation, and for 100 other people violation of Model Code of Conduct violation. Violation of Model Code of Conduct. See, the news, it's not very important, but what you have to focus is that Model Code of Conduct. Where can you use this in your answer? As the name indicates, code of conduct. We have the topics code of conduct and code of ethics. For the code of conduct, give an example of model code of conduct. And this model code of conduct, it sets rules and it regulates the electoral process of the country. So ensures that constitutional morality is safeguarded in the electoral process. So this is, you can write it in that example. And also we have one more topic in the second unit, we have a topic of political attitude. And in the political attitude also, if you ensure model code of conduct, then your attitude, your political attitude will be positive. If there is no model code of conduct, if you are not conforming to model code of conduct, then your political attitude could be negative, or eventually it will be negative. It means that you are not supporting these moral regulation given by the election commission. So ultimately your political attitude will be negative. So for give an example, the MCC as a example for your political attitude in that topic, and also you can give it this an example for code of conduct also, right? So let's talk about ethical perspective of model code of conduct. And it ensure free, fair, peaceful, and it ensure ethical election. And another important aspect here is that model code of conduct helps to inculcate constitutional morality. Constitutional morality, Ambedkar has given a statement. Ambedkar told that constitutional morality, it is not something natural, it is not by birth you are going to have this constitutional morality, it has to be cultivated. And there is a one uh, topic in your syllabus, that is rules, laws, regulation as a guide of ethical conduct. There also you can quote this particular definition, or the this quote given by Ambedkar. And there was a question, two times question was asked regarding constitutional morality. So constitutional morality is an important concept here. So constitutional morality according to the Ambedkar, and he told that it is not natural and it has to be cultivated. Now, how do you cultivate? One of the ways to cultivate this constitutional morality is model code of conduct. Because one thing, there is a political parties, all the people, political parties, candidates, all these people related to the elections, who are standing for the election, supporters, all these things, that is one set of people. Another set of people, it is citizens. Now, model code of conduct has to be supported by both of them. So if it is supported by both of them, then it is going to ensure, it is going to uphold constitutional morality. So for constitutional morality, you can give example of model code of conduct and use this quote also in your answers. And model code of conduct, reinforces, it ensures Gandhian ethics and also deontological duty. Gandhian ethics is a Gandhian talk about truth, non-violence and all. And non-violence here, model code of conduct, it also supports the concept of non-violence, even at the speech level. Speech, action, truth, all these things are inculcated in the model code of conduct. In turn, it is talking about Gandhian ethics. And model code of conduct, it is talking about to do what is right. So it is indirectly talking about deontological ethics, that adhere the rules regardless of the outcome. So you're focusing on the right action, you're not thinking about the outcome, you're thinking about your fulfill your duty. So deontological ethics, MCC, even for the Gandhian ethics, you can quote this example, and even for the deontological ethics, you can quote this example of model code of conduct, right? I told you that one thing, you can write example for code of conduct. And another example is that political attitude. And for political attitude, if you inculcate model code of conduct, if you ensure code of conduct is implemented properly, then we can see positive political attitude at the ground level. So my attitude, attitude of the people, attitude of the politicians, in line with democratic values. If there is no model code of conduct, if the people, if the politicians are not upholding the model code of conduct, then political attitude of a society will be negative. So this is going to create distorted political attitude. Usually distorted, I cannot say that distorted political attitude as a Machiavellian this thing, but usually Machiavelli talks about uh, go to any extent to get the power. So that is what his point of view. Say I cannot explain all entire Machiavellian here. You can go through videos to understand it. But if there is a positive political attitude, there will be a respect for the constitutional morality. If there is no positive political, if there is a negative political attitude, then Machiavellian, that idea of politics can be seen at the ground level. So this is with respect to model code of conduct. So these are the ethical perspective of model code of conduct, right? And the next article is with respect to freedom of speech, and what exactly this article is talking about here. The Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition, he has written a letter to chairman of Rajya Sabha, and he has told that I have given a statement, I've talked in a parliament, but my words have been expunged, my words have been deleted from the document. See, whatever you say in the parliament, everything will be documented. But here, Mr. Kharge, he is complaining to the chairman that whatever I have said, some of the parts have been deleted, intentionally deleted. So this is the news here, and he is telling that Mr. Karge is telling that I have the right to speak whatever I want under the Article 105. This gives me freedom of speech in the floor of the House. But there is another right to the chairman or the speaker, and they are telling that there is a rule. I forgot the rule number something. It might be here. No. Uh, there is a rule, a parliament, the rule gives the power to the head of the floor, like speaker and the chairman. They can take a decision if they want. If they take a decision to eliminate some of the parts of the speech from the record, you cannot question, they have the power, you cannot question them. So now freedom of speech one side, and there is a power in the hands of speaker and chairman, this is another thing. This is what article is talking about. Now let us see from a ethics perspective here. Ethics perspective, what you have to focus in this article, parliamentary ethics. So if a question comes with respect to parliamentary ethics, anything related to parliamentary ethics, legislature, executive, you can use these contents in your answer. Now parliamentary ethics, here we are talking about arbitrary expunction, that arbitrarily it has been removed. Mr. Karge is telling that my speeches and whatever I have said, few of some of the things have been arbitrarily removed here. See, if there is this kind of arbitrary removal or arbitrary decisions are there, it means that honesty, uprightness, accountability has been breached in the public life. There's a parliament because they are selected by people, elected by people, and they have all the right. There is a freedom of speech, constitution talks about, and there is a parliament privileges are also there, that they can say whatever they think freely and openly. So you, if there is an arbitrary decision, arbitrary expunction, then this goes against all these freedom, all these privileges given to the member of parliament here. This is one thing. Another thing is, if these kind of expansion happens, selective expansion happens here, what Mr. Karge is telling that, see, because BJP, it has a majority, because of that number power, it is doing that majoritarianism, it is controlling whatever it wants to be recorded, and it is eliminating the things which it is not happy about. See, this is what happened. This is nothing but majoritarianism, and if selective expansion is there, if it's proved, then it is going to ensure this majoritarianism. Majoritarianism, it means that there is no scope for the minority voices here, and you can eliminate the dissent. This is what happens if you don't respect the democratic voices here. And see, again, if there is a selective expunction, this kind of arbitrary expunction, then this is going to, there is a legislative function is there. Legislative function should be a non-partial function. But if there is a selective expansion, then this is going to question the non-partiality or impartiality of legislative functioning also. And legislature, effective legislature thrive on free, frank, fearless expressions. And see, I am a MP. Now I can say whatever I want on the floor of the House. Till now, there are two perspective here. One side, it is speaker, it is chairman. Another side, it is members. Speaker and chairman, they have certain responsibilities. Member, they have certain responsibilities. And speaker and chairman, these 2 points for them actually. Speaker are the guardian here. Guardian should not take any decisions arbitrarily. There should not be any selective decisions here. He has to be unbiased, whatever the political party he belong to. See, ultimately, if you are a speaker or chairman, you have to maintain that neutrality, you have to maintain that impartiality. So that is what first 2 points are. And the next points are talking about these members. They have the free hand, they can say whatever they want. That does not mean that you can say whatever you want on the floor of the House, because you have certain responsibilities and you have to maintain that responsibility. If there is a social responsibility on you, there is a political responsibility on you. Don't take it as a granted here. So you have to showcase tolerance, you have to showcase empathy. All these things should be there. Ultimately, members, you should ensure emotional intelligence. emotional intelligence should be there in your conduct. This is one thing. And the second thing is there, you have to ensure ethical governance. Actually, we have seen unparliamentary words and fighting in the parliament. Even chairs were thrown, and people entering into the well, throwing the paper, and watching objectionable content in the mobile, sleeping. See, all these things, unparliamentary things, we have seen. So even members, they have the liberty, but they should not misuse that liberty. Also, they have that responsibility. They have to balance that, one side ethical governance, and also you have to balance everything with liberty. So they have that moral responsibilities. Member, they should ensure, they should uphold the moral responsibility. And chairman and speaker, they also have moral responsibility. They also should ensure that moral responsibility. Ultimately, the speaker, chairman, they are considered as ethical guardians, and they have to ensure their ethical guardianship there. They should promote inclusive debate, and in turn, what happens, it is going to strengthen the constitutional morality. So this article, it is talking about parliamentary ethics. And parliamentary ethics, what you have to keep in mind, one thing, guardians, they have certain ethical standard, they have to fulfill that. And the members of the parliament, they have certain ethical standard, they have to fulfill those ethical standard. And they have the restrictions, reasonable restrictions, and even the members have reasonable restrictions. Then both of them should uphold political responsibility, social responsibility, and it is applicable to both of them. And the ethical, the guardianship, they should be unbiased, they should be impartial. They should make sure that inclusive, tolerance, acceptance, these values must be enforced on the floor of the house. So this is with respect to parliamentary ethics. And the next news article, it is with respect to parental control, parental consent. And the news, it is that Gujarat government has taken decision that parent consent is required to get married, especially it is with respect to adult marriage, not the child marriage. So even for the adults, they have to take a permission of parents. So this is the decision. Gujarat government has taken a decision. Now this article talks about that. See, this is a regressive move. So this is what article is talking about. Now let's see the ethical issues in these kind of issues here, this kind of situation. So parental consent. So what are the ethical issues are there? And I've crossed 18 years. The constitution has given me all these freedom, all these protection, everything, privilege, everything. Now state government is passing this law, and this is going to create a lot of questions. This goes against the value of constitution itself. Constitution itself, it talks about article 21, but here article 21 includes right to life. Right to life, it is I can marry whoever I want and wherever I want. These kind of freedoms are there, liberty has been given to. But here, even the adults, they are controlled by parents, and law has been made in a way that my control is given to somebody else. So it goes against the concept of article, right to life, article 21. And it violates the adult autonomy. Being an adult, I have my autonomy, I can take my own decisions. And this parental consent, this goes against my adult autonomy. And I have individual liberty. If parental consent is mandatory, then patriarchal control will be there over my individual liberty. This is another ethical issue, and there will be erosion of personal dignity, and it ensures there will be gender inequality also. Gender inequality, I mean to say that especially women, rural area, they still there is a social stigma, there is restriction for their freedom and their decision making abilities. If parental consent, this becomes legal, then that gender inequality is going to be strengthened under the ambit of by quoting this parental consent. So these are some of the ethical issues. You can quote these things, quote these terminologies in your answer, right? Next, let's see the dimensions, various dimensions. Three dimension: personal dimension, social dimension, professional dimension. Personal dimension, one side, individual autonomy. I want to marry whoever I want. That is individual autonomy. Another thing is filial duty. Filial duty is family duty. Duty, entire family member, they are responsible. There is an accountability factor on each of the member. So this filial duty versus individual autonomy. This is one dimension. Second dimension is social, from a social perspective. One side, there is a family. Ultimately, I am a part of family, and my family wants me to be happy, me to be successful in life. There is no negative intention in my family. This is one side. But another side, there is a personal choice. So again, the tussle is going to be there. At the professional level, there are some ethical factors here. One side, the policymakers, there are cultural norms. Another side, constitutional rights. See, you make a law, if there is no acceptance from the people, then it is not going to make any sense. We have an anti-dowry law, we have a law against child labor, but it is still practiced in our country. Why is it so? Because there is no social acceptance. So make sure that whatever you law makes, that it is in line with cultural norms of this country, cultural norms of this place, then only it will be successful, or else it is not going to give any results. So that is another ethical aspect here, is that cultural norms versus constitutional right. So these are the dimensions here. And there is an aspect of persuasion can also enter into the picture, or not, rather than persuasion, I would say social influence can be enter into the picture. Usually what happens, community, influence of community will be there. There is a concept of conformity, we have discussed this in the third unit. Conformity, I think second unit, conformity is that if everybody is doing that, I am also going to do the same thing. So if the parental consent gets the legal sanction, legal power to it, now since everybody is doing that, I also think that even I get influenced by these kind of the social behavior. Now even government also says yes to the social behavior, then this is going to influence my behavior also. So the conformity, community pressures persuade conformity. So I am also going to do that. So this is going to question my ability, my capabilities here. Ultimately, if some reformation has to be happen, I have to, there will be counter persuasion. It is not that everybody is doing, I'm also doing. No, you have to question it, and you have to find what is right and what is wrong. And after analyzing what is right and what is wrong, you have to take a decision. But what happens here, when there is conformity, I'm not going to question anything. When I'm not going to question anything, there will not be any reforms at the individual level, at the social level, at the government level. So this is what happens. This is going to impact in a negative ways, individual, society, and the government also. And it is going to support cultural conservatism. Again, whatever the cultural norms, the year old, 100 years, 200 years old cultural norms, uh, again, that is, it ensures these kind of legal support to these kind of activity. It is going to ensure cultural conservatism. And in the, if you, even if you see it from a public service perspective also, this is not right. Usually what happens, public service means you have to serve the public, so your service means you have to empower the citizen. But what you are doing is you are giving the legal power to parental consent. By giving that, you are controlling the private lives of the people. Again, this goes against the concept of public service here. So these are some of the dimensions of ethics with respect to parental consent, with respect to this article. So here they go through with ethical issues, and also for, you can give this example for social influence and the persuasion. There you can quote this example, intelligently use these examples. Next, there is a scheme called Rahveer scheme. Rahveer, it is that Delhi government has come up with a scheme, and they've told that if you help the accident victims, and you are going to be rewarded with 25,000, and there will be recognition also. This is the scheme. But here you have to see it from an ethical perspective. And here, where exactly you can use this Rahveer scheme. There is a one topic in your syllabus, laws, rules, regulation as a source of ethical guidance. This topic is there. With respect to this, there was untouchability, it was practiced in our country. Now the legal system made it illegal, and also constitution also strictly mentioned that practicing untouchability, it is crime. So there is a rules, regulation, laws of our country. It ensures that this particular activity is crime. Practicing untouchability, it is crime. If you practice it, then you are going to face the consequences. So here, through the rules, through the laws, through the regulation, you are guiding the people behavior. So they act as a source of ethical guidance. So you're telling that this is wrong and you should not do it, and if you do it, there will be punishment. So laws, rules, regulations as a source of ethical guidance. Here also, you are using a new scheme as an ethical guidance here. Now people are scared that if we help a accident victim, by chance, by mistake, the person dies, then you have, there a lot of legal procedure you have to go through. You have to go through the police questioning, and even if the call comes from a court, you have to go there and you have to give the answer. See, your intention is to help the person, but in turn you got into the trouble helping that person. See, that was a situation. That somewhere this created a moral hazard in the society. People were scared even to help the accident victims because of these kind of establishment. Now government is changing the behavior. Now this scheme is acting as a ethical source of ethical guidance. So that is Ravi scheme. There you can give this as a example. So here government uses positive incentives. Here it is giving money 25,000, along with that there will be a recognition. So it is combined with protective measures. So you're not going to be questioned by the police or authority court. There will be a legal safeguard also. So legal safeguard has been given, positive incentive has been given. Why is it given? To promote ethical behavior. People were scared to help the accident victims. It is moral bankruptcy actually. If you're not helping a person who has been affected by accident, it shows that moral bankruptcy. In order to correct this, government has come up with this scheme, promote ethical behavior in the society. And also you can give this in the examples for compassion, altruism also. This is one thing. And the second is, in the second chapter, we second chapter talks about attitude. And the attitude, there is a topic of attitude formation and attitude change. And in that attitude formation and change, we have talked about CAB model, cognitive model, affective model, behavioral model. So if you want to change the attitude, you change this cognitive model, cognitive aspect, affective component, and the behavioral component. And this Ravi scheme is also dealing with attitude formation or attitude change. By giving money, by incentivizing, by giving this recognition, you want to change the attitude of the person. Before that, people were scared. They did want, I don't want to involve in that situation because of the legal consequences. Now my attitude has been changed because of the Ravi scheme. So there are two this can be quoted in two topics. One is rules as a rules, laws, and the regulation as the source of ethical guidance there. And the second, attitude change and attitude formation, there also you can quote these examples as one among the factors, that how can you change the attitude formation, how can you change the attitude. There also you can mention it. So here what, your attitude has been changed. Your attitude, you are changing the person attitude to make him pro social, to make, give him that moral courage, and to infuse that social responsibility. So this is the Ravi scheme. And the next article is with respect to Iran. The India has given a call that whoever the Indians in the Iran, they have to vacate. The advisory has been given. Now let's see from an international ethics. What are the international? How do you deal with it? See, these kind of calls, advisories, we have seen so many times. Usually, some kind of geopolitical disturbances, we have seen these kind of adversaries. And what you have to focus from an ethics perspective here. See, government, Indian government, it has a duty. There is a fiduciary duty towards a citizen. Now, by giving this call, it is protecting the citizen. So there is a protective responsibility. It is fulfilling the protective responsibility. It is fulfilling the fiduciary duty towards its citizen. This is one thing. And another thing is, by giving this call, it has to balance the international diplomacy also. See, if you give this kind of call, the other country will not be happy. It means that you're giving some kind of negative signal. So here Iran will not be happy that if you give these kind of adversaries, you have to balance that also. So you have to balance the national interest, you have to balance the diplomatic relation, you have to balance the individual safety. And even in the case studies, you get these kind of dilemmas and you have to take a call. So individual life, individual safety comes very predominant here. You have to, that should be the focus here. So that is the reason, whenever these kind of tensions in the geopolitical situation happens, it is never it's never that first instance only the government give these kind of advisories. It is never only at the last moment, nth moment, or when they feel there is a insecurity, they give these kind of adversaries, because they have to maintain international relationship, diplomatic relationship, and also national interest, and also individual safety. So in order to do that, you need to have emotional awareness. So emotional awareness is very much necessary for international ethics to maintain diplomatic relations. This is another thing. And another aspect is that there is a, in international ethics we talked about two concepts, realism and the idealism. Realism, it means that you focus on your self interest. You have to protect yourself. Idealism is that, see, everybody, if we have to help another country, uh, idealism, it is that human lives come first, then we talk about boundaries, borders, all these things. But in geopolitics, at the real life examples, the idealism, it's always poses some kind of tricky situation. So you have to balance it, realism and the idealism. And these kind of situations, you have to balance this concept of realism and the idealism. This is another ethical aspect you can mention in your answer, especially with respect to international ethics, right? And the next topic, I think this is the last topic, organ donation. Prime Minister Modi in the Man Ki Baat, he has talked about organ donation, and article talks about how many organ transplantation, all these details have been given. But what you have to focus is organ donation and ethical aspects, ethical dimensions of organ donation. See, organ donation, you can quote this as an example for compassion, altruism. There you can quote this example. And another example is that it is Prime Minister Modi, he's giving the call. He's in the Man Ki Baat, he's talking about it. Why is he talking about? You quote this as example for persuasion. So here, Prime Minister is involved in persuasion. Positive persuasion, positive outcome; negative persuasion, negative outcome. So these kind of Man Ki Baat are convincing people to do something proactive or nationalistic. So you can quote these kind of things as an example. And organ donation, you can quote it for compassion, altruism, because you're not expecting anything in return, and you just want other person to get advantage of your body parts. You are lost the life, and your intention is that let another person get the life what he deserves. So this is the organ donation. So organ donation, it talks about altruism, it talks about compassion, it talks about empathy here. So disease donation exemplifies the highest form of altruism, because it is a selfless act. Even you are not even expecting any recognition out of it. You are dead, and you don't even know what happens after that. So you're not expecting anything. There's absolutely nothing from organ donation. So it is highest form of altruism here. This you're not going to get, you're not going to understand also that what is going to happen after that. You're dead, that is the full stop here. So you're not expecting anything, there is no personal benefit here. And you're saving the stranger's life, and you're not giving it to your family members, you're giving it to somebody else. You want somebody to get these organs. So there is a factor of highest form of altruism, highest form of compassion. So you can quote organ donation in these foundational values. And here, whatever Prime Minister in Man Ki Baat is convincing, is talking, and you can quote this as an example for persuasion. So persuasion and altruism, compassion. And persuasion works better than the coercion. Coercion is something forceful. Persuasion is that you're putting all the information in front of, I'm putting all the information in front of you, and you make the decision. So there is no force, there is no compulsion there. So this is the difference between persuasion and the organ donation. And here also the Ravi scheme also talking about kind of persuasion only. It is persuading people to do something. So here also Man Ki Baat also, Prime Minister, he's persuading the citizens of the country to do something positive. So here also you can see the persuasion. And yeah, one more article is there, judicial ethics. It is with respect to, there are two films. One is Gushkur Pandit, and another film, the Kerala Story. At Kushko Pandit community, the Pandit community, they were not happy that you're targeting particular community. But film, the crew, they were telling it as it is a, we have a freedom of expression, so we can go for it. So their argument is different, and the people belong to the community, they are not happy. In the same way, Kerala Story, and some of the people, they are not happy. They think that they are targeting a particular community or a particular state, geographical location, and filmmakers are telling that we are just telling a story, and it is a real story. This is what they are telling. Now this is the situation. Now the Justice Bhuyan is talking about art cinema, so it should not be used to vilify the communities. You have to, there will be social cohesion. Whatever you do, whether you make movies or your art, or you are a very influential person, whatever you say, it should bring the people together. He's talking about fraternity. But if you do it, if your art, if your cinema, it is, if it is creating some kind of rift in the society, then that has to be addressed, and that has to be corrected actually. So you cannot misuse your freedom for to create some kind of rift in the society. This is what he is talking about. So he mentioned that art cinema enjoys robust protection as a pillar of democracy. Using it to vilify communities is unethical, unconstitutional, and antithetical to India's pluralistic ethos. It is going to impact the pluralistic ethos of India. Now, see, you can use this content in the judicial ethics. Why it is judicial ethics? One, there are two sides here. One side, filmmakers. Another side is particular community. They have different arguments. If you listen to this community, they have some valid points. If you look at the filmmakers also, they also have the particular some valid points. Now you have to take a decision. Now the in order to take a decision, there should be one impartial person. That impartial person is nothing but judiciary here. So here, judiciary as a representative, Justice Buen is talking about the fraternity here. Fraternity is the brotherhood here. So for a national unity, fraternity is very much important. It is a critical element that ensures the social cohesion. But if you create these kind of intentional rift, then this is going to erode the fraternity. And fraternity is core ethical duty. Me being a citizen of this country, it is my core ethical duty. As a filmmaker, you should not cross this line. This is what the justice judiciary is talking about. The just judge, he has uphold that creative freedom. Yes, there is creative freedom, but at the same time, line has to be drawn. There is a freedom of speech, there is a hate speech. It should not cross to the hate speech. Yes, freedom of speech is fine, but it should not cross over to that. Even if the case studies comes, that you have to take this center path actually. Yes, you have a creative freedom, but this creative freedom should not cross the line of hate speech. So this is the see it from a case study perspective, use it in the case studies. And even if the question related to judiciary or judicial ethics, you can quote these points in your answer. And also, if any public figure, especially who is holding the high office, or who is very influential person like film actor, cricketer, see, they should not give any speeches which target community. This should not happen. So even for administrators also, they ensure probity in governance, constitutional morality, empathy, tolerance in administrative ethics. And judge call respecting fellow citizen, this is very much important. He talks about constitution dharma. This terminology, use it in your answer. Constitutional dharma, we all being a citizen of this country, it is our responsibility to uphold the constitutional dharma. There is a term of constitutional morality. There was a question also regarding constitutional morality. This is the first time I am also hearing constitutional dharma, and use it in your answers also. You can give the conclusion also. Constitutional dharma, it means that whatever constitution says, that you uphold these values without manipulation, without compromising with core values. So trying into the behavioral ethics. So constitutional ethics. And see this, whatever we have studied, this judicial ethics, whatever the Justice Buen talked about, you can use this, especially if the question comes with respect to freedom of expression and the social harmony. There you can use it. Or if there is a role of judiciary in protecting constitutional values, there also you can quote this example. When there is a tussle between freedom of expression and hate speech, there how exactly judiciary involved in that, there also you can give this, quote this as an example. And ethical dilemmas between say, freedom of expression, creative freedom, and the hate speech, that also. And also public servants duty to foster unity also. Should artists be censored to prevent communal tension, there also you can use this content. And the entire article, it talks about judicial ethics and uphold the constitutional ethos over populist pressure. So this is with respect to, I think we've discussed around 10 articles. So thank you for listening. If you think that the video is very long and so much of content, just write it down the examples and certain terminologies and use these very intelligently in your answers. It is going to help you a lot. It is going to give you a lot of marks, because even after maybe 40 weeks there will be 40 videos. And if you go through with each video, there will be 10 examples. If you make a list of it, there will be more enough number of examples will be there. A lot of terminologies in this video, we talked about so many ethical terminologies like constitutional dharma, level of impropriety, and we talked about restorative justice. See, these kind of terminologies, make a note of it and use it in your answer in an intelligent way. You can use it in your conclusions very efficiently. So thank you so much for listening. I will see you guys in the next video. and have a good time. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and inform your friends also. Have a good time.